In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, how is everybody tonight? Welcome to our SAS community here on Surviving Together, safe place for sexual assault survivors and other trauma survivors to connect and heal. And let's get over to our comments. Let's see who's here tonight. And I'm going to apologize a little bit ahead of time if I sound weird or my face looks a little weird. If you can't tell, this side's like, it's still pretty numb. I had some mouth work done today. I was hoping that it would all be back to normal by the time we were doing this, but my brain wasn't thinking the 6 o'clock. It was still thinking 7. I think maybe it was even 7 when I made the appointment. I'm saving my tail there, but Deaudrey, if you go to sleep, that is fine. You can catch us on the replay. And this is going to be really a prelude to Saturday's show. So watch it at your leisure or leisure, however you say it, over where you are. Let's see, we got Shannon here tonight. Welcome. So glad you're here. Crystal, so good to see you. Your allergies are bad, Shannon. You know what? We are on opposite ends of north and south of the U.S., and mine have been horrible for I want to say the past week. And I swear I saw a piece of cottonwood floating through the air on my drive home from the dentist today. I swear to you. They're definitely not supposed to still be blooming. And I am allergic, so allergic to those. So gosh only knows. Blah. Crystal, you too? Yeah. Allergy sufferers unite. You took a Benadryl so you may fall asleep. Actually, that's what I may end up doing. I was going to take one when I got home, and because I was just feeling some, and then I went, I'm definitely not going to be able to talk to you guys if I take this. So held off. So one's for anyone who needs it, especially all of us allergy sufferers, and you suffering having to listen to me try and actually talk tonight. Donna, it's good to see you. It's been a while in here. I think we spoke the other day, though, on the lifeboat. It was good to see you. What am I looking for here? Thanks, Crystal. I appreciate it. Something's blooming where you're at. Yeah, you're down farther south, and I just wonder. I have no idea. And when we get fall ragweed and things like that, and I don't know how many of them I'm allergic to. I've never had the test done. Just hasn't been too bad that it generally doesn't go all summer long. Then I'd really definitely be on meds. I can't say, Crystal, that I find that wind affects my pain levels, but the barometric pressure in the air certainly affects pain levels. especially if I have any bit of a headache or sinus pressure going on. It definitely can make it worse. Mark, so glad you're here. How are you doing? I've been thinking about you this week. You guys, I've just been thinking about you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Guys, I sit here kind of for a second just going, and it's because I go to make a word and my lips aren't responding to what my brain is telling my lip to do, and it's a little frustrating. Uh, so I thought, as you guys could see from the title of this, not a freaking clue what I was going to talk about until I went to the dentist's. And I didn't change it because today's going to be kind of like a precursor to Saturday. I did a little bit of research, but not as much as I would have hoped to do on a subject like this, because there's definitely a certain way I want to approach it and certain things I want to talk about first before we get to the connection. Um, so you guys have any inkling as to what I'm talking about? I'm talking about ADHD and trauma. And it's interesting, I keyed in on ADHD because, for one, my roommate David, he has ADHD. And he's often said that he's pretty sure I have ADHD. And I've never considered it. I really never have. I've considered, am I on the autism spectrum a little bit? And it's like, okay, well, there's certain things there that seem to fit, but most of it doesn't. That's kind of where I landed on that. And then when I was doing research with this, that there's actually some overlap in between some things on the autism spectrum and ADHD. Now, neurologically speaking, they're vastly different, but just how that plays out, there is some crossover with things. So you can see by only getting a little bit of information, it can be hard to figure out, what you have. Or if conversely, if you're going with just a little bit of information on a layperson's understanding and going, oh, I got 3 of them. See, I must have this or I must have that. Well, you may have 3 things that are in common with 2 different things like here, but are going to present to a clinician vastly different, right? So, hi Sandy, how you doing? Glad you're here. So that's kind of what got me thinking about ADHD. And then I had remembered seeing some things about ADHD and trauma. And I didn't know whether or not they were speaking about a correlation between the two, whether they're talking about people with trauma usually have ADHD. What was it? Um, I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. I wanted to read your comment real quick, Mark. I'm not sure whether to say okay or sorry for your mom. Please excuse my ignorance. I'm just not 100% sure how to take that. Hey Todd, how you doing? It's good to see you tonight. Um, yeah, it's interesting, Crystal, and this is why I wanted to make sure to do it justice, because there's not, I think talking between ADHD and autism would be a whole, separate thing in and of itself. So, and it's not something that really fits into our channel well, but it's something that I want to mention just because of the overlaps between ADHD and the commonalities that it can have with people with trauma, but also with the autism spectrum. And you can see how somebody like me might make a connection and go, gosh, do I have it? Do I have it? Do I not have it? That sort of thing. And so, da 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 da. Sorry, guys. My my jaw is starting to throb a little bit. I took medication, but I took it a little too late, so it's starting to throb a little bit. So I'm losing my train of thought a little bit. One thing I briefly mentioned on before that I wanted to go back to is one of the gentlemen who I was listening to. He started off his thing. It's called Adult ADHD and Childhood Trauma. That's the name of it. And if I don't link it here, I'll link it to Saturdays because I know I'll be referencing it. And he starts out talking about when he moved out and he was on his own and in his from 20 to on or whatever, kind of how he was like in everyday life and what his struggles were and what his thought patterns were. And I found myself with my jaw on the floor going, after my nervous breakdown, I lived for about 5 years with my parents. So my parenting duties were split amongst all three of us. So it was a huge load off. When I moved out of their house and moved in with just my son, those parenting duties were just on me then. And that's when I really felt the sink or swim. And I was floating. I wasn't swimming because I certainly wasn't moving forward at all. And I was doing just the bare minimum to get by and keep my son alive and fed and, not be neglectful. At least what I hope wasn't neglectful. I don't think I was. Um, and I just, oh, okay. Got it, Mark. I think I'm a little bit more in line with your mom and being kind of, scared of judgment. And I think that's because, I was judged all the time as a child. And listening to this gentleman talk about his life, I was just struck by, I was like, and he's got ADHD, he's self-professed, he's got ADHD. I think he also has childhood trauma, but in the sense of neglect, witnessing domestic abuse, along those lines. So he puts himself in the childhood trauma category, but not in the CPTSD category, which I thought was interesting because I had never heard of there being a distinction between these two. So this is definitely something that I want to look into because he was very specific when he was talking about ADHD and childhood trauma. And he would mention CPTSD occasionally, but his focus was on childhood trauma. And the way I'm kind of looking at it is all CPTSD is childhood trauma, but not all childhood trauma is CPTSD. I think maybe that's how it's gonna go. Not 100% sure. Hey Janet, how you doing? Um, Crystal, you wondered about the autism thing too. Yeah, I mean it's such, especially now, right? I mean that spectrum is huge, as are most of our spectrums that they're finding that we are all on. It's like, where did this gene happen to trip? Oh, whoop, okay, there it is. You are this far on the autism pendulum. Where did this one flip? Whoop, you're, that far on the, um, sexuality pendulum or whatever. I mean, it just, kind of depends, right? You found out that your mental health diagnoses can change over time. Yeah, as we get older and as our circumstances change and our, you know, we have different experiences. this is the one thing that amazed me as to why had never even considered ADHD, because how could I have gained ADHD at 45 years old, right? And whether you want to call it ADHD, whether you want to call it ADHD components of CPTSD, whatever, there's a heck of a lot of things that they have in common with each other. And oh, I'm so sorry, Todd. Feel better, okay? Feel better. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Um, Sorry, my jaw was just starting to pound there for a second. Crystal, they said your brother might have ADHD but wasn't diagnosed. Not sure if he's ever been diagnosed. No. Yeah, I mean, if you saw me as a kid, you certainly would never have suspected that I had ADHD, my brother or I. Um, but it was jaw dropping to see these similarities and to see, David being right in the sense that a lot of the things that I do or have a tendency to think, or my thought patterns, are spot on with what people with ADHD think. Not everything. I mean, he had a long, long, long list. And there were definitely certain hallmark things that I did not have. Um, but that was one of the things too that he was talking about, is that because we all are on spectrums of some sort, the thing about saying, well, you have ADHD or you don't have ADHD because you do or don't have this particular hallmark, he, kind of wanted to throw out the window and say, well, it's just that you're on this side of the spectrum. If this side is, ADHD, you can't sit still, your mind's always racing. And I mean, literally, you check every single box. And this one's maybe you check two of the boxes. You know, who's to say, you don't have it, you have it, but a little bit, a mild version of it. I mean, however you want to say that, you still got, characteristics in common with it. And to have things that I was doing actually put in some sort of context other than, oh, I was just stuck or depressed or lazy, or, however I felt like characterizing myself that day. To have possibly a different explanation for it was just like, whoa. And I need some time to process that on a personal level, because it's not like I have difficulty. I don't care if I have an ADHD diagnosis, but it just opens up a whole different area of, tools for dealing with, certain aspects of ADHD, and looking at those now and saying, well, will those work for me? Is this something that I can implement? And one of the things I'm interested is how much with dealing with this would I actually be helping to deal with the trauma behind it, if that's the situation. And this gentleman is very good at linking things back and showing you exactly why, if you have this behavior today, what might have happened in your childhood to explain that. Because I think a lot of people times will talk about one or the other, but they don't talk about the connection between the two. Well, why is it that because you have that, you do that? And he was very good about it. And there's some of those conclusions that I want to bring to you. There's one in particular that I'm not sure that I'm 100% sold on. And so I want to ask you guys what you have to think. It's interesting, Crystal, and I certainly don't have the answer to you in terms of what's ADHD and what's menopause. A lot of overlap, certainly. I mean, look, if we can have over 70 identified conditions already that are linked to menopause, and think about ADHD and all the things that go around, along with that. I mean, that there isn't more overlap in things is kind of astounding. And until we get that special little, you know, laser, whatever, that scanner that just scans us and goes beep, 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 beep. Oh, yeah, she's got da 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 da. Um, I think in some ways we're still shooting darts at a dartboard and, seeing where most of them tend to collect. Um, Mark, your statement isn't unfounded. ADHD is pretty convenient for societies, especially ones focused on productivity. And I don't have argument with your statement in general. I think it's like anything else. And I was listening to somebody today, and it was posed to her, do you think that trauma is overused in society today? And she said, absolutely, and definitely not. Wait a minute. You said the polar opposite in definitive ways both times. What are you talking about? She said, well, if you listen to some of the younger generation now, say, it, I had such a traumatic experience yesterday morning, arguing with my mother, or not even arguing with my mother, just, trying to pick out what I was going to wear to school, or, what you're saying right now is really traumatizing to me. Using triggered as well, which definitely has specific meaning to, survivors, trauma survivors. And I caught myself thinking about it and going, yeah, because she was recognizing that while we're definitely doing better and we're on the upswing, recognizing the true trauma and realize and not realizing, but speaking of it with people who have suffered through this, who have survived it, who have come through the other side, who we now believe. Because that was one thing he asked her above anything else, what would you wish our society would do? And she just said, believe. Whether it's an adult or a child, if they complain about, something, that they're believed. Particularly when it comes to sexual assault, because it's such a sensitive area. And she actually did a whole segment on Bert and Ernie and how autism and ADHD people are kind of like similar like that. But maybe I'll relate it to you on Saturday. I guess there was this bit where they were Big Bird was trying to convince everybody that Snuffleupagus was on his way, and everybody was saying, no, Big Bird, you're wrong. They're like, oh, yeah, right, whatever, he's not real. And they got chastised big time for it, because they said, what you're putting out there, the message that you're giving children is very traumatizing, that they're not to be believed. They can't be believed because it's such an outrageous claim. And so it was interesting. And I actually remember this, that the people who Big Bird spoke to along the way, because then they made Snuffleupagus an actual character, and he came on the show, and he's like, see, my friend is real. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. We'll never doubt you again. And we shouldn't have doubted you in the first place. And, so they had this whole apology thing where each person said their apology and was sorry for not believing him in the first place. And I was older, so I don't know what kind of impact that would have if I, was a much younger child, about seeing one thing and then, seeing two beloved characters being validated. I don't know if that would make a difference to me and how I was feeling about that particular topic. As I said, I was older, but I definitely do do remember that. Either you guys were really, really quiet or my stream went dead because I have no new comments. I know I'm not that entertaining. I don't know, maybe I am. Let's see. So I want to delve into, so on Saturday, I want to delve more into this idea of, you're just quiet. Okay, hey, somebody's still there. Woohoo. Um, no, I see that I'm supposed to have 8 eyes, so at least somebody's got their computer open. There's much research to be done because I do want to pull up a few of the studies to see what they have to say and what the research has to show. They just mentioned some numbers, but they didn't talk about any studies in specific. But the one thing that was interesting is that they said that, and it has been known that there's a large genetic component to ADHD. And he said one study put it at about an 80%, I don't know, if it's 80% chance that if your, parent had it, you would have it, or genetics make up about 80% of you having. I'm not exactly sure how that goes. I'd have to look that up again. Janet, go ahead. Yeah, talk to your therapist about getting ADHD testing. Gabor Mate, he was 54, I think it was, when he was diagnosed. So, when they talk about adult diagnosed ADHD, it can happen at any age, and my next door neighbor to my parents, I think she was in her mid 50s too. Rick, I am laughing. I am definitely laughing along with you. And we do have a lot of names for things. David was actually mentioning something just today. I was like, there's 172 of them. I forget what he was talking about, but it was like, wow, different categories of some, whatever it was, of something. So, oh. Guys, I am sorry that I may have to go a little early. My jaw is really kind of killing me. And, but I do want to, this is a subject that I want to continue to talk about, and not only ADHD and trauma, but also, we've talked about depression and trauma and anxiety and trauma a little bit. And so I definitely want to delve down this aspect and also see how many aspects or how many characteristics of ADHD, kind of overlapping with some of the other things that we see. And why might it be that a trauma survivor would be more likely to develop ADHD? And how that would happen, I don't know. From developing it from trauma, that's what I'm not uncertain about. And I definitely want to do some more research as to whether or not it's something that just kind of comes out, or is it tripped or triggered, by the trauma. Oh, don't apologize for being quiet, Janet. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something, or that, I hadn't hit a button and I wasn't getting the live feed anymore. I'm a trauma survivor. I always think it's my fault. I get to laugh at that because I am one. So anyway, yeah, I definitely, it's worth getting looked at, Janet. So I took some ibuprofen just a little while ago. I'm hoping that will work for me. I'm going to, I think, maybe put some ice on it and chill it up here in the meantime before the medicine starts working, if it does start working. If anybody has ADHD, and is interested in talking about their experience, when it developed, how it's played out in their life, certainly be interested to speak with you. I think it's something that a lot of people can relate on. It's something that I'm very new to relating on. I certainly don't feel comfortable discussing it from an ADHD perspective because of the things, uh, just being so relatively new to me. The feeling's not new, right? But realizing that it's a part of something and that a lot of other people have it and a lot of other people have felt this, that, and the other thing. When he said, oh my God, it was a near impossibility for me to get my dishes and my laundry done, I went, oh my God, hallelujah. There's another one of you out there. Why is that? Why is it so difficult to do those two tasks? Because you can break them down into itty bitty pieces. You can do a dish or two every time you go by, and a load of laundry. You can only do a load of laundry at a time, right? So you can break it down into little bits. And we're always saying that that's the best way to handle these things. But there's just a paralyzation that happens with those chores that I feel like most of the time doesn't happen with any other chore, um, save for paid bills. And that was the last one on my list to kind of, for me, lose control over, not be able to pay on time and make sure that I was, um, doing, getting all my reminders and things like that, remembering that I switched accounts on this or that I changed passwords on that. So we'll definitely see. Oh, Rick, thanks so much. Thanks so much. We love having you here with us too, and I think Saturday is going to be very interesting. Um, so yeah, either put in the comments or, go ahead and put, send an email. Sorry, I told you, you get that pain, especially if it's anywhere in the head, and it's just kind of like thunk. Oh, every thought just got knocked straight out of my head. Um, that's where you're at as well. I'm taking it. You probably mean it with the dishes and the laundry. Yeah, you're not alone, Crystal. You're definitely not alone. I I'm thanking the universe for answering my prayers and my wishes and sending me David and having him here at this point in time to shoo me along with some of these in a very, gentle and caring nature and humorous. A lot of laughter, a lot of laughter. And I would probably still have mounds of laundry done. Well, I did. I will admit I was down to my last pair of underwear the other day, and I'm like, I've got to do laundry. Um, I had done shirts and stuff, but I guess I figured I had enough undies to last me a while, and so I didn't think it was a little bit. It was important for putting them together. So, oh well, whatever. What are you gonna do, right? Yeah, Crystal, I had to do automatic withdrawal on the bills. I was too once I lost control over the bills thing, and that was pretty much kind of when I moved out of my parents. Um, like I said, for the last 6 years, really, I've been just kind of floating along and just trying to do my best as a parent and keep my son alive and keep myself at least moving forward to the next day. I wasn't moving forward in terms of, doing anything to with enjoy life more, right? Or to address any trauma that I had. I was so much into that paralyzation mode, and I needed somebody to shake me out of it. And that really started happening when I, met you guys, and all of you through, since the beginning of last year, really. Um, I don't know, maybe fall 20. I might be coming up on 2 years now with you guys. That is wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of music here too. I almost thought you'd be able to hear the music from downstairs, as I think Bob Seger was rocking out down there, and we were. Uh, it was bleeding through my floor, so we're definitely on that music path around here. I always have it when I'm showering. I don't know why. It just makes the shower go by quicker, be more enjoyable. I just left to my own devices. I'd much rather have my brain be focused on something. Misha, so glad you're here. So glad you're listening. No, absolutely no apologies. You just say, hey, I've been on the phone with my kid. That's totally fine. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. Donna says my BFF has ADHD, going crazy with out Adderall shortages again. Donna, where are you? I think you're in the US, correct? That's interesting because David must not take Adderall for his. I do believe there's several different medications, right? And when he's had it so long too, so who knows how many different things he could have been on at this point in time. But I'm so sorry. Misha says her eldest is going through that now too. I'm assuming the Adderall shortages, and she's trying to get more holistic teas, etc. Yeah, we did trauma for a while, kind of did a little series of that. And I think we might be looking at ADHD for a little while. So I'd like to look at it, and it's through the trauma lens, but it affects so many of us. And, how and why, is there a connection with the trauma? What's going on neurologically? Um, how do you fix it? What are the therapies? And because of the medicinal issues that we've been having, are there other ways that you can go about easing the symptoms? There's no cure for ADHD at this point in time, unless they figure out a reset button for it. And they're like, we found the gene, flip the switch, something like that. Um, but who knows? I seem to come across a news story every other day about something that I did not know that we, not maybe found a cure for, but, you know, isolated this thing. I'm so specific. Oh, and I'm trying to think, I'm just blanking, but I did come across something just the other day where they said they had isolated the gene that was responsible for something, and I went, no freaking way. It was like, wow. Oh, Misha, that is so sweet. I am so glad that vlogging made you feel better when you left the airport and shared it with your kid. That's just that's just heartbreaking. But I'm glad I'm glad that's a positive coping mechanism for both of you. Mark, your mom's side of the family dealt with generational trauma, triggered ADHD. They never saw a need to do anything about it. Yeah, I think that when everybody has the same, everybody's dealing with the same sort of issues and everybody's kind of thinks the same, it's normal, if that makes any sense. So why do anything about it? Because it's normal. I mean, most everybody's got it, doing it and thinking this way anyway. So I mean, I can understand that. Oh, Crystal, that's wonderful. You might be on the verge of getting some answers for some medical questions. That is fabulous. Definitely let us know how things go with that. Um, yeah, not knowing anything when you've got a medical issue is very frustrating. I know that my mom's going through that right now with her O2 level, her oxygen level, blood oxygen level, and blood pressure, and she's very frustrated, very frustrated. So hopefully you all will get some answers very, very, very soon. I hope that that will be true for both of you. I think my mom has um, another follow-up soon. I need to ask her about that actually, because I think she had one yesterday. See if we're getting anywhere with this. Because I told them, I said if they didn't, from this last round of specialists that they were going to, if they didn't get any answers or any clear path forward that the team was willing to work and research and try and figure out, if they were just kind of like, we're going to be on the hunt for some new doctors. So who knows where this will end up leading. But so Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, that's right. One of my PA people. And you've got a shortage of Adderall there. Jeez, oh, Pete. It just shouldn't be like this, right? I mean, it's Adderall for crying out loud. But it's a real shame because I know as someone who's been on an antidepressant for, over 25 years, that if suddenly I couldn't get mine, I'd be in a world of hurts. I mean, my body would not know. My brain would not know. I'd be. This is exactly what I'd be like. You know what I mean? I would not be functioning very, very well. Yes, one's for all that need them. And apparently there's a hurricane going on right now. So yes, definitely one's for anybody who's being affected by the hurricane right now. Pray you're safe and in an area that oh, bruises from scratching. I understand that. I have such thin skin right now that I definitely get that. I definitely get that. Louisiana, okay. How far in from the coast are you, Misha? I mean, you could be at the top for all we know, though, right? I mean, and still be getting affected because that hurricane is making landfall and going up. Wonder how this is supposed to affect us. I have no idea what the trajectory is. I'll tell you, I'm very, very ignorant on this right now. Sorry, guys. All right, that is going to do it for me tonight. I am just tired because I was kind of doing this, and then I'd realize and I'd relax, and then I'd like, and then I'd realize and I'd relax, and it was, it uh, it ended up being a fairly painful process, but it's anytime you get that scraping noise, it just is like, and I just can't help but tighten up and, almost get nervous and whatnot. So, yeah, absolutely tense muscles. And they're like, well, we can, send some medication in for you, but you need a driver. And I'm like, okay. Well, on the one hand, as nice as that would be to go into floaty land, I don't need it. I don't need to be subjecting my body to it. I know I can make this on, just my own and some podcasts. It'll be okay. Um, Going on a little floaty journey next time, depending on how long they're going to have to do, might be the way to go because that was about 3 hours total of her scraping and me being able to hear it in my ear, and it's just not pleasant at all. But hopefully, I won't have to have this done again ever. We'll find out in 3 months. We'll see how it goes. But one's for everybody who needs it, who's in the hurricane, who's just having a down day, whatever their situation is. Remember, you are valuable, you are worthy, you are strong because you're a survivor, and you, and most of all, you are loved just how you are for who you are. Sorry about that, guys. I looked at the chat real quick and was like, huh? I think I missed something. But anyway, so hugs and love to you guys. Mwah. I will see you on Saturday. We'll be talking more about ADHD and any correlation it might have to trauma, childhood trauma, CPTSD, both, neither. We'll see what happens with the research. I'm interested to see where some of this goes and where some of the statistics end up falling on this subject. So, bye everyone. I wish you the best. Have a great night, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.